Most people fail not because they lack talent, opportunity, or intelligence. They fail because their attention is scattered. They are everywhere, except where they need to be. They watch others, they react to noise, they chase approval, and in doing so, they abandon the one responsibility that determines everything: self-focus. Let me make this clear from the start. Focusing on yourself is not selfish. It is strategic. It is disciplined. It is the foundation of every great achievement that has ever stood the test of time. When your focus is divided, your power is divided. When your focus is sharp, life begins to organize itself around your clarity. Success is not chased. It is attracted by alignment. The moment you decide to work on yourself, your thinking, your habits, your discipline, you activate a law that few people understand. The world begins to respond differently to you. Opportunities appear where confusion once lived. Resistance fades where indecision once ruled. Why? Because life rewards order, and self-focus creates order. Most people are obsessed with outcomes. They want results without refinement. They want rewards without responsibility. They want respect without discipline. But results are a consequence, not a starting point. The strongest individuals in any field do not spend their time monitoring others. They don't track competitors. They don't argue with critics. They don't explain themselves. They build, they refine their craft in silence. They sharpen their mind when no one is watching. They train their habits when motivation disappears. Focus on yourself and comparison dies. Focus on yourself and excuses lose their voice. Focus on yourself and momentum replaces motivation. Here is a truth most people avoid. Distraction is comfortable. Focus is demanding. Focus demands discipline. Focus demands saying no to people, to noise, to unnecessary emotions. Focus demands that you face your weaknesses instead of hiding behind entertainment and opinions, but that discomfort is the price of personal power. You do not need to fix the world. You need to fix your direction. When you discipline your mind, you discipline your future. When you govern your emotions, you govern your decisions. When you master yourself, life stops feeling chaotic. Most people live in reaction mode. They wake up reacting, they think reacting, they live reacting. Focused individuals live intentionally. They decide in advance who they will become, and then they build habits that support that decision. Your daily routine is not small. Your thoughts are not harmless. Your focus is not neutral. Every day you are either strengthening your future or delaying it. Isolation used wisely is not loneliness, it is preparation. The world celebrates results but ignores the seasons of silence that create them. There is power in stepping back, sharpening your skills, clarifying your vision, and removing unnecessary access to your energy. When you stop explaining yourself, your actions begin to speak louder. When you stop chasing attention, attention finds you. When you stop trying to impress, you begin to influence. Here is the paradox. The more deeply you focus on becoming your best self, the more life aligns around you. People call it luck. Others call it timing. But it is neither. It is alignment. A focused mind sees opportunities others overlook. A focused individual moves with certainty while others hesitate. A focused person builds consistency, and consistency compounds. You don't need more motivation. You need more structure. You don't need more opinions. You need more execution. You don't need validation. You need discipline. When your inner world is organized, the outer world follows. Chaos cannot survive in the presence of clarity. And remember this, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall or rise to the level of your habits. So ask yourself, what do you feed? Eating daily, distraction or discipline, excuses or execution, noise or focus? The moment you commit to yourself fully without apology, everything begins to change, not instantly, not magically, but inevitably. Because when you focus on yourself, your thoughts sharpen, your actions align, your confidence solidifies, and life without force falls into place. Stay focused, stay disciplined, stay committed to becoming undeniable. Everything else will follow. Energy follows attention. Where your mind goes, your power flows. This is not philosophy meant to sound good. It is a law that operates whether you respect it or ignore it. Every result you experience today is the visible evidence of where your attention has lived for months and years. Your focus has been quietly shaping your circumstances long before you notice the outcome. Nothing enters your life by accident. It is invited through sustained thought, emotional investment, and repeated mental direction. Most people are exhausted not because life is hard, but because their attention is scattered. They wake up already divided. One part of their mind is chasing approval, another part is trapped in regret, another is worried about opinions that do not build their future. Energy leaks wherever attention is wasted. Power weakens when focus is borrowed by noise. A distracted mind cannot build a disciplined life. Attention is the gatekeeper of achievement. Whatever you give your attention to repeatedly becomes dominant. Fear grows when you study it. Confidence strengthens when you feed it. Doubt multiplies when you entertain it. Focus is not passive, it is a command. And every command you give your mind is followed by action, behavior, and eventually results. When you focus on yourself, not in ego but in mastery, everything begins to realign. You stop reacting and start directing. You stop consuming and start creating. You stop explaining and start executing. Self-focus is the act of reclaiming authority over your mind. It is the decision to become the source of your outcomes instead of the victim of circumstances. The disciplined individual understands that attention is currency. It must be invested, not spent emotionally. Attention invested in growth compounds. Attention spent on comparison drains. When you watch others more than you watch your habits, you surrender control. When you measure yourself against noise, clarity disappears. But when attention is placed on skill, discipline, and purpose, progress becomes inevitable. Your mind does not respond to wishes, it responds to repetition. Focus is repetition with intent. Every time you return your attention to improvement, you strengthen the identity of a builder. Every time you return your attention to distraction, you reinforce weakness. Identity is formed by what you repeatedly focus on, not by what you occasionally desire. The world is filled with people who want success but refuse to focus. They want results while living in reaction. They want clarity while entertaining chaos. Focus demands restraint. It demands saying no to unnecessary conversations, emotional impulses, and constant stimulation. This restraint is not punishment, it is preparation. When attention becomes disciplined, energy becomes concentrated. Concentrated energy produces momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence sharpens decision-making. Decisions repeated daily create habits. Habits shape destiny. This chain is not broken unless focus is broken. Those who master focus do not rush. They move deliberately. They understand that urgency without direction creates exhaustion, while focus with patience creates power. They do not need validation because their attention is fixed on progress. They do not need motivation because discipline replaces emotion. The greatest shift occurs when you stop asking what life will give you and start asking what you are becoming. Attention placed on becoming transforms effort into alignment. When your thoughts, habits, and goals point in the same direction, resistance weakens. Life stops feeling heavy because you are no longer fighting yourself. Energy wasted on resentment, fear, and distraction never returns a profit. Energy invested in skill, mindset, and consistency always does. This is why focused individuals appear calm while others panic. Their attention is anchored. They are not pulled by every external event because their internal direction is set. Focus is a daily practice, not a one-time decision. Every morning you choose where your energy will go. Every moment you either reinforce your future or delay it. There is no neutral attention. It is either building or breaking. The moment you remove unnecessary focus, strength returns. When you stop feeding doubt, it weakens. When you stop rehearsing failure, confidence grows. When attention is withdrawn from distractions, clarity fills the space. Nature rewards simplicity. Life organizes itself around clear intention. Self-focus creates rhythm. Rhythm creates consistency. Consistency creates trust with yourself first. And self-trust is the foundation of all external success. Without it, effort collapses under pressure. With it, obstacles become training. Attention is the steering wheel of life. Most people let it drift. Few grip it with discipline. Those few do not rely on luck because focus manufactures opportunity. They do not wait for confidence because focus builds it. They do not fear isolation because focus turns silence into strength. When attention is fixed on growth, excuses lose their voice. When energy is directed inward with purpose, the outside world responds differently. Circumstances shift because behavior shifts. Behavior shifts because thinking shifts. Thinking shifts because attention is no longer wasted, but commanded, reinforced, protected, and directed daily toward becoming sharper, stronger, clearer, more disciplined, more intentional, more resilient, more precise, more controlled, more aligned, more capable, more grounded in purpose, more detached from noise, more committed to mastery, more focused on building rather than reacting, more invested in the process than the applause, more centered in progress than approval, more rooted in direction than distraction, more conscious of where energy flows and why it must be guarded at all costs. Self-mastery comes before success, before money, before recognition, before influence, before results. There must be control. Not control over people, not control over circumstances, but control over the self. A person who cannot govern their thoughts, emotions, and habits is not prepared to manage achievement. Success magnifies who you already are. If discipline is absent, success becomes destructive. If clarity is missing, success becomes overwhelming. Most people want the reward without the responsibility. They want the outer victory without the inner order. But life does not work in reverse. You are never given more than you are prepared to handle. This is why many rise quickly and fall faster. They reached for success before mastering the mind that must carry it. Self-mastery begins with awareness. You cannot direct what you do not observe. Every reaction you allow without examination weakens authority over your life. Every emotional impulse that controls your action transfers power away from you. Mastery is the ability to pause, choose, and act with intention rather than instinct. It is not suppression. It is command. A disciplined mind is calm under pressure. It does not panic when outcomes are delayed. It does not abandon direction when discomfort appears. It understands that progress is not emotional, it is procedural. The person who masters patience will always outperform the person who chases intensity. Emotional energy burns fast. Controlled energy compounds. Most limitations are not external. They are internal negotiations. The mind argues for comfort while the future demands discipline. The outcome of that argument determines everything. Self-mastery is winning that internal negotiation consistently, even when no one is watching, even when motivation disappears, even when progress feels invisible. Habits reveal the level of self-command. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you operate at the level of your discipline. What you do daily defines what you become permanently. Small acts of self-control accumulate into identity. Identity dictates behavior. Behavior produces results. There is no shortcut in this chain. Those who lack self-mastery are controlled by circumstance. Their mood dictates their effort. Their environment dictates their focus. Their emotions dictate their decisions. This is not freedom. It is quiet slavery. True freedom is the ability to act according to principle, not impulse. Self-mastery requires solitude at times. Not isolation from responsibility, but separation from distraction. When noise dominates attention, direction weakens. Clarity requires silence. Growth requires reflection. Strength requires restraint. The ability to stand alone with your thoughts without escaping them is a mark of internal power. The mastered individual does not rush. They do not envy speed. They understand that stability is built before expansion. They are willing to move slower in the beginning to avoid collapse later. They train consistency before chasing scale. This patience is not weakness, it is strategic intelligence. Success demands decision-making under pressure. Pressure exposes weaknesses. If the mind is undisciplined, pressure creates panic. If the emotions are uncontrolled, pressure creates mistakes. Self-mastery ensures that pressure sharpens performance rather than breaking it. Calm becomes a competitive advantage. Most people are distracted by outcomes. The mastered individual is focused on standards. They ask not, "What did I get?" but "Did I act in alignment with my principles?" This internal scorecard creates resilience. When success is delayed, they do not collapse because their identity is not dependent on immediate reward. Self-mastery trains the ability to delay gratification. This single skill separates those who build lasting success from those who chase short-term pleasure. The future always belongs to those who can wait while working. Discipline today purchases freedom tomorrow. The world rewards reliability. Reliability is born from self-control. When you can be counted on by yourself, others begin to trust you. Trust creates opportunity. Opportunity expands responsibility. Responsibility attracts reward. This sequence is predictable and repeatable for those who master themselves first. Every breakthrough is preceded by inner alignment. Thoughts move in one direction. Habits support that direction. Emotions are regulated, not indulged. When internal systems align, execution becomes efficient. Effort feels lighter because resistance has been removed from within. Self-mastery does not eliminate struggle. It organizes it. You still face difficulty, but you face it prepared. You still experience doubt, but it no longer dictates behavior. You still feel fear, but it becomes a signal, not a barrier. Mastery does not mean perfection. It means control. Those who refuse to master themselves remain dependent on external motivation. They need encouragement, validation, and urgency to move. Those who master themselves generate momentum internally. They move because it is who they are, not because they feel inspired. When you conquer the inner world, the outer world responds. Not because life becomes easier, but because you become stronger. Circumstances stop controlling your direction. What they truly lack is discipline. Direction is not discovered through thinking alone. It is built through consistent action. When discipline is absent, the mind wanders, priorities shift, and progress stalls. When discipline is present, choices simplify and momentum forms. Most people wait for direction before they act. This is backward. Action governed by discipline produces clarity. Each controlled step eliminates uncertainty. Each repeated habit sharpens purpose. Discipline is the structure that gives intention a path to follow. Without structure, even the strongest desire dissolves under distraction. A disciplined life removes unnecessary decisions. It establishes routines that protect energy and focus. When you decide in advance how you will behave, temptation loses power. Discipline is not restriction, it is liberation from indecision. It frees the mind from constant negotiation and preserves strength for meaningful work. Direction is the result of standards consistently upheld. What you tolerate daily becomes your trajectory. If you tolerate inconsistency, your future becomes unstable. If you tolerate comfort over growth, your direction bends toward mediocrity. Discipline draws a line and demands adherence. That line becomes the path. Those without discipline chase motivation. Those with discipline build momentum. Motivation is emotional and temporary. Discipline is structural and permanent. It does not ask how you feel. When your actions align daily, your path becomes unmistakable. Discipline sharpens decision-making. It removes emotional bias and replaces it with principle. Decisions made from principle are stable. They do not fluctuate with mood or circumstance. Stability attracts opportunity. People trust those who move with consistency. The disciplined path is often quiet. It does not seek applause. It does not announce intention. It works in silence and lets results speak. This silence is not weakness. It is focus. Every future is built on the discipline of today. Direction is not a gift. It is constructed. Each habit, each choice, each moment of restraint adds definition to the path ahead. When discipline governs action, confusion fades, purpose strengthens, and movement becomes intentional, steady, and unstoppable. Isolation is a strategy, not a retreat from responsibility, not an escape from reality, but a deliberate withdrawal from distraction. Those who misunderstand isolation see it as weakness. Those who use it correctly understand it as preparation. Growth requires distance from noise. Mastery demands periods of separation. Every individual who has built something meaningful has learned when to step away in order to step forward stronger. Most people are constantly connected yet internally scattered. Their attention is pulled in every direction, leaving no space for depth. Isolation creates space. Space allows thought. Thought refines intention. When you remove unnecessary voices, your own becomes clearer. Clarity is not found in crowds. It is built in quiet. Isolation is where self-awareness sharpens. Without external influence, you are forced to confront your habits, your excuses, your inconsistencies. This confrontation is uncomfortable, but it is essential. You cannot correct what you refuse to examine. Isolation removes the distractions that allow self-deception to survive. Those who fear isolation often fear facing themselves. They fill silence with entertainment and validation. But silence is not empty. It is instructional. It reveals where your discipline is weak and where your focus leaks. It shows you who you are when no one is watching. That knowledge becomes power when acted upon. Your focus returns to your own process. Comparison steals direction. Isolation restores it. You begin to measure success by standards rather than statistics. In isolation, priorities clarify. You see which commitments matter and which drain energy. You learn the difference between activity and progress. This clarity simplifies decision-making and strengthens direction. Isolation exposes dependency. Without social reinforcement, weaknesses surface. Addressing these weaknesses builds resilience. Resilience is not built in comfort. It is built in controlled discomfort. Isolation provides that environment. The mind becomes disciplined when distractions are removed. Thought deepens, planning improves, execution sharpens. Isolation creates a laboratory for personal refinement. Those who strategically isolate are often misunderstood. They are labeled distant or detached. But detachment from noise creates attachment to purpose. Purpose-driven individuals do not require constant presence. They require alignment. Isolation strengthens intuition. Without constant input, inner signals become louder. Decision-making becomes instinctive yet controlled. This balance is rare and powerful. When isolation ends, the difference is visible. Focus is sharper. Energy is concentrated. Direction is clear. The individual moves with certainty, not haste. They speak less and execute more. Isolation used correctly is not absence, it is investment. An investment in clarity, discipline, and self-command. Those who understand this do not fear stepping away. They know that stepping away is often the fastest path forward. Clarity eliminates competition. The moment your direction becomes precise, comparison loses its grip. Competition exists only where vision is blurred. When individuals do not know who they are or where they are going, they look sideways for reference. But when purpose is defined and focus is sharp, there is no need to measure yourself against anyone else. You are no longer running someone else's race. You are executing your own. Most people compete because they are uncertain. They copy strategies, mimic behaviors, and chase trends because they lack internal direction. This creates crowded paths where everyone fights for the same attention. Clarity removes you from the crowd. It places you on a path that requires alignment rather than rivalry. When your goals are specific and your standards are clear, duplication becomes irrelevant. Clarity simplifies decisions. When you know what matters, distractions become obvious. Opportunities are filtered. Boundaries protect direction. Without boundaries, you are pulled into unnecessary battles. Competition thrives in undefined spaces. Clarity draws lines that others cannot cross. Those who operate with clarity are calm. They do not rush. They do not panic when others appear ahead. They understand timing. They trust their process because it is built on intention, not imitation. This trust creates patience. Patience allows for mastery. Clarity turns focus inward. Improvement replaces comparison. The question shifts from, how do I beat others, to, how do I execute better today? This shift changes everything. Progress becomes measurable. Confidence becomes grounded. When clarity is present, feedback is filtered intelligently. Criticism is evaluated, not absorbed. Praise is acknowledged, not pursued. Emotional stability increases. Stability strengthens execution. Execution produces results that stand apart. Clarity aligns actions with values. When actions are value-driven, motivation becomes intrinsic. External competition loses influence. You move because it is meaningful, not because others are watching. Meaning sustains effort long after novelty fades. Most competition is an illusion created by limited perspective. When clarity expands perspective, the illusion dissolves. There is room for many to succeed when paths are distinct. Distinction is born from clarity. A clear mind resists distraction. It understands that attention is finite. Every unnecessary comparison is a tax on focus. Clarity eliminates this tax. Focus is redirected to creation. Over time, clarity compounds. Small, aligned actions accumulate into a recognizable pattern of excellence. This pattern becomes difficult to replicate, not because it is hidden, but because it is personal. Personal clarity cannot be copied. Clarity eliminates competition by removing the need for it. When your path is defined, your standards are set, and your focus is disciplined, you move with certainty. Others may run beside you, but you are not racing them. You are fulfilling a direction that only you can execute. Habits decide destiny, not intentions, not wishes, not motivation, but the small repeated actions you perform when no one is watching. Every life is shaped quietly by routines that appear insignificant in the moment, yet accumulate power over time. What you do daily trains your future. What you tolerate consistently becomes your direction. Destiny is not an event waiting to arrive. It is a pattern being built. Most people overestimate single decisions and underestimate repeated behavior. They look for breakthroughs while ignoring the systems that create them. But life does not respond to bursts of effort. It responds to consistency. Habits are votes for the person you are becoming. Each repetition reinforces identity. Identity directs behavior. Behavior determines results. A habit is a decision automated. Once established, it operates without negotiation. This is why habits are powerful. They bypass emotion. They do not ask how you feel. They execute. When habits are undisciplined, life feels chaotic. When habits are aligned, life feels directed. The mind adapts to what it practices. If it practices distraction, focus weakens. If it practices discipline, strength increases. The brain does not judge quality, it reinforces repetition. This is why small choices matter. They are not small in effect. They are foundational. Many people wait for motivation to change behavior. This is unreliable. Motivation fluctuates. Habits endure. When action is tied to habit rather than emotion, progress continues regardless of mood. This stability separates builders from dreamers. Habits reveal priorities more honestly than words. You can claim to value growth, but your daily routine tells the truth. Time spent is direction revealed. Attention invested becomes character formed. There is no hiding from habit. Negative habits rarely destroy life suddenly. They erode it gradually. Small neglect compounds into limitation. Small indulgence compounds into dependency. Over time, the cost becomes visible. Positive habits operate the same way in reverse. Small discipline compounds into freedom. Small focus compounds into mastery. Habits create momentum. Momentum reduces resistance. When behavior becomes automatic, effort decreases. This efficiency allows for sustained progress. The beginning is always the hardest. Consistency transforms difficulty into normalcy. The environment supports habit formation. What you see, hear, and engage with shapes behavior. Designing your environment is an act of self-respect. Remove triggers that weaken you. Introduce structures that strengthen you. Willpower fades. Environment endures. Habits shape self-trust. Each promise kept strengthens confidence. Each promise broken weakens it. Self-trust determines how boldly you act. When you trust yourself, hesitation disappears. Action becomes decisive. Many people attempt to change outcomes without changing habits. This creates frustration. Outcomes are symptoms. Habits are causes. Change the cause and the effect follows. There is no other route. Habits are formed through repetition, not intensity. Consistent effort outperforms occasional force. Sustainable habits fit into daily life. They are not dramatic, they are reliable. Reliability builds destiny. The future is rehearsed daily. Each morning you practice the behaviors that will define your life years from now. There is no pause. Every day adds or subtracts from your trajectory. Habits influence thinking. Thinking influences decisions. Decisions influence actions. Actions reinforce habits. This loop operates continuously. Breaking or building habits alters the loop. Altering the loop alters destiny. Accountability begins with self-awareness. You must notice patterns before you can change them. Observation precedes control. Control precedes mastery. Mastery precedes success. Habits do not care about excuses. They respond only to repetition. You are not punished for lack of discipline. You are shaped by it. Those who understand the power of habit stop chasing shortcuts. They invest in systems, they protect routines, they build quietly. Over time, the accumulation becomes undeniable. Destiny is not chosen once. It is chosen daily through habits repeated with discipline. Every action is a step toward or away from the life you will eventually live. Emotion must be governed. Uncontrolled emotion is the silent ruler of failure. It disguises itself as passion, urgency, and honesty. Yet it quietly overrides reason, discipline, and direction. A person who cannot manage emotion is managed by circumstance. Feelings become commands, reactions replace decisions, and progress becomes unpredictable. Mastery begins the moment emotion is no longer allowed to dictate action. Emotion is powerful, but power without control is destructive. Anger sharpens focus when directed, but destroys judgment when indulged. Fear protects when measured, but paralyzes when exaggerated. Excitement fuels effort, but blinds when unchecked. Every emotion carries energy. Governance determines whether that energy builds or burns. Most people believe emotion is truth. It is not. Emotion is information. It signals internal state, not external reality. Acting on emotion without examination is surrendering authority. Governance requires separation between feeling and response. The pause between stimulus and action is where power lives. Those who succeed under pressure do not feel less, they respond better. They experience emotion without allowing it to hijack behavior. This is not suppression, it is command. Suppressed emotion leaks out unpredictably. Governed emotion is directed intentionally. Emotional discipline is trained, not inherited. It develops through awareness and repetition. Each time you choose response over reaction, strength increases. Each time you allow emotion to control behavior, authority weakens. The pattern compounds. Emotion distorts perception. When emotional, the mind exaggerates obstacles and minimizes solutions. Decisions made in heightened emotion are rarely accurate. Governance restores proportion. It allows evaluation instead of exaggeration. The ungoverned individual lives reactively. External events dictate internal state. Praise inflates. Criticism deflates. Circumstances decide mood. This instability makes consistent progress impossible. Governance creates internal stability. Stability enables consistency. Fear is one of the most powerful emotions. Governed fear becomes caution. Ungoverned fear becomes avoidance. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the refusal to let fear decide. When fear is governed, action continues despite discomfort. Anger, when unmanaged, seeks expression, not resolution. Governed anger becomes focus and drive. Ungoverned anger creates conflict and regret. The difference lies in control. Desire, when ungoverned, becomes impatience. Governed desire becomes persistence. Impatience demands immediate reward. Persistence works steadily toward delayed outcomes. The future belongs to those who govern desire. Emotional governance strengthens decision-making. Decisions are guided by principle rather than impulse. Principles remain stable under pressure. Impulses fluctuate. Stability creates reliability. Reliability attracts opportunity. The world tests emotional control constantly. Delays, criticism, setbacks, and uncertainty are not obstacles. They are assessments. They reveal who governs emotion and who is governed by it. Those who pass these tests move forward. Emotional governance improves relationships. Responses become measured. Communication becomes intentional. Conflict is addressed rather than escalated. Respect increases when emotion is controlled. Internal dialogue is influenced by emotion. Ungoverned emotion creates negative narratives. Governance interrupts these narratives and replaces them with constructive reasoning. Thought quality improves. Action quality follows. Emotion seeks immediacy. Discipline seeks longevity. Governance aligns emotion with long-term goals. This alignment prevents self-sabotage. Many failures are not due to lack of ability, but momentary emotional surrender. Emotional strength is quiet. It does not announce itself. It appears as calm under pressure, patience during delay, restraint during temptation. This quiet strength is often mistaken for indifference, but it is mastery. Governed emotion conserves energy. Emotional reactions drain focus and vitality. When emotion is directed, energy is preserved for execution. Life does not require emotional absence. It requires emotional command. The individual who governs emotion moves steadily while others fluctuate. Over time, this steadiness compounds into trust, respect, and achievement. Purpose attracts opportunity, not by chance, not by luck, and not by wishful thinking, but through alignment. When purpose is clear, decisions become intentional and actions become consistent. This consistency creates a pattern that others recognize and respond to. Opportunity does not wander aimlessly. It moves toward direction, preparation, and clarity. Most people chase opportunity. They search for shortcuts, trends, and external permission. In doing so, they scatter their energy. Purpose concentrates energy. Concentrated energy produces visible progress. Visible progress invites connection. Connection opens doors. This sequence repeats wherever purpose is sustained. Purpose organizes effort. Without it, activity becomes noise. With it, even small actions contribute to a larger direction. When actions align with purpose, momentum forms. Momentum reduces resistance. Resistance falling away creates space for opportunity to enter. A clear purpose acts as a filter. Not every option is accepted, not every invitation is pursued. Discernment increases, time is protected, energy is preserved, opportunity respects boundaries. It does not reward those who say yes to everything. It rewards those who say yes to what aligns. People trust those with purpose. Trust is built through consistency. Consistency signals reliability. Reliability attracts responsibility. Responsibility precedes opportunity. When others see that you move with intention, they invest their resources, attention, and confidence in you. Purpose creates patience. When direction is known, delay loses its power. Waiting becomes preparation. Each step feels meaningful because it serves a larger aim. Impatience fades when actions are connected to purpose rather than immediate reward. Those without purpose often feel overlooked. In reality, they are unfocused. Opportunity requires visibility, and visibility is created by repeated aligned action. Purpose keeps you moving in the same direction long enough to be seen. Purpose sharpens skill. When effort is guided by intention, learning accelerates. Skills deepen. Expertise develops. Opportunity seeks competence. It gravitates toward those who are prepared, not those who are desperate. Purpose influences communication. Words become clear. Messages become consistent. Others understand what you stand for. This understanding simplifies collaboration. Collaboration multiplies reach. Reach increases opportunity. When purpose governs decisions, setbacks are interpreted correctly. They are adjustments, not rejections. Learning replaces discouragement. Persistence strengthens. Opportunity often appears disguised as difficulty. Purpose allows you to recognize it. Purpose attracts mentors. Experienced individuals invest in those who demonstrate commitment. Commitment is visible through consistent action aligned with purpose. Guidance shortens the path to opportunity. Purpose creates resilience. Challenges are faced with determination rather than doubt. This resilience signals capability. Capability attracts trust. Trust opens access. Many believe opportunity is scarce. In reality, alignment is rare. When alignment is present, opportunity seems abundant. Purpose creates alignment. Purpose-driven individuals do not compete for attention. They build value. Value attracts demand. Demand creates opportunity. The environment responds to clarity. When you know where you are going, you position yourself correctly. Right place, right time becomes a pattern rather than an accident. Purpose transforms effort into magnetism. Actions emit intent. Intent draws response. Over time, this interaction shapes circumstance. Opportunity is not something you find, it is something you become ready for. Readiness is built through purpose, sustained with discipline. Inner order creates outer order. Life does not become organized by chance, pressure, or wishful thinking. It becomes organized when the mind becomes disciplined. Disorder in the outer world is almost always a reflection of disorder within. Confusion, inconsistency, chaos, and frustration are symptoms, not causes. The cause is always internal misalignment. When thoughts are scattered, actions follow. When emotions are unstable, decisions weaken. When discipline is absent, structure collapses. Most people try to control circumstances before they control themselves. They rearrange schedules, chase systems, and seek shortcuts, yet nothing holds. Without inner order, external structure cannot sustain. You can change environments endlessly, but if the mind remains undisciplined, chaos returns in a new form. Order must originate at the source. Inner order begins with clarity of thought. A mind that knows what matters stops wasting energy on what does not. Priorities become visible. Decisions simplify. Focus sharpens. Mental clutter dissolves when purpose is defined. When thoughts move in one direction, effort stops fighting itself. Emotional regulation is part of inner order. When emotions dominate, reactions replace responses. Life feels unpredictable because behavior is unpredictable. E. Governing emotions stabilizes action. Stability creates consistency. Consistency builds momentum. Momentum organizes results. Habits are the architecture of inner order. They remove randomness from behavior. When habits are intentional, progress becomes systematic. When habits are neglected, life becomes reactive. Order is not created through intensity. It is created through repetition. Inner order requires discipline, not motivation. Motivation fluctuates. Discipline endures. A disciplined inner life does not rely on mood. It relies on standards. Standards guide behavior regardless of feeling. This reliability shapes outcomes. When inner order strengthens, time becomes structured. Tasks are prioritized. Energy is allocated intentionally. Procrastination loses power because direction is clear. Stress decreases not because work disappears, but because chaos does. Outer order follows naturally. Schedules align. Relationships stabilize. Opportunities become manageable. Success becomes sustainable. Without inner order, success overwhelms. With inner order, success expands capacity. Many people believe they need external control to function. In reality, they need internal structure. Self-command replaces supervision. Independence replaces dependency. Confidence grows because behavior is predictable and aligned. Inner order trains patience. You stop demanding immediate results. You trust process because it is structured. This patience reduces impulsive decisions that disrupt progress. Long-term thinking replaces short-term reaction. The environment responds to internal stability. Others sense clarity and reliability. Trust increases. Responsibility is offered. Disorder repels opportunity. Order attracts it. Inner order removes unnecessary conflict. When values are clear, boundaries form. Boundaries protect focus. Focus strengthens execution. Execution produces results that reinforce order. Mental discipline reduces noise. You stop engaging with distractions that dilute attention. Attention becomes concentrated. Concentrated attention creates effectiveness. Effectiveness simplifies life. Outer chaos often feels overwhelming because the inner system lacks filters. Everything feels urgent. Everything feels heavy. Inner order restores perspective. Not everything deserves reaction. Not everything requires energy. Order within allows flexibility without collapse. Structure does not mean rigidity, it means resilience. When change occurs, the disciplined mind adapts without losing direction. Adaptation without panic is a sign of mastery. Inner order builds self-trust. You keep promises to yourself. Each kept promise strengthens identity. Identity influences behavior. Behavior stabilizes outcomes. When the mind is organized, effort feels lighter. You move deliberately rather than desperately. Decisions align with long-term vision rather than short-term emotion. Life stops feeling random. Outer order is not forced. It emerges. Systems fall into place because the person operating them is consistent. Growth becomes manageable because the foundation is stable. Inner order eliminates wasted motion. Energy is not spent correcting preventable mistakes. Progress accelerates not through speed, but through precision. Those who cultivate inner order are often calm under pressure. Pressure reveals structure. Without inner order, pressure exposes weakness. With inner order, pressure sharpens performance. Life reflects the state of its operator. When the operator is disciplined, life responds with coherence. When the operator is scattered, life responds with resistance. Inner order is built daily through thought control, through emotional regulation, through disciplined habits, through consistent standards. As inner order strengthens, outer order no longer needs to be chased. It forms naturally, steadily, and inevitably around the person who governs themselves. Everything we have discussed leads to one undeniable truth: the quality O. Your life is determined not by circumstances, not by luck, not by the approval of others, but by the strength, focus, and clarity you build within yourself. When you focus relentlessly on mastering your mind, governing your emotions, refining your habits, and defining your purpose, the chaos around you begins to align. Energy concentrates, momentum grows, and opportunities find you because you have become ready. Success does not chase the distracted, the reactive, or the inconsistent. It answers to the disciplined, the determined, and the committed. Stand firm in your focus, guard your attention, strengthen your inner order, build yourself so relentlessly that the world has no choice but to yield to your presence, and in that alignment, everything you seek will inevitably fall into place.